Hello everybody, this is Chris with the Ancient Scholar doing something a little different today. I'm actually setting up for a mass casualty scenario for one of the EMS courses that I help teach here at the college. So I'm actually in a one of the classrooms that isn't currently not being used. And today what I'll be having the students do is come in small groups, and the simulation for today will be that a bomb has gone off at a small business. And basically what I'll do for the scenario is I will have the lights off, so it'll be almost total darkness. And I'll also, if you can see the computer over here, I'll have that computer plugged in, and it'll be playing off of my iPod. And I actually have some Assyrian music, or some Assyrian related music, so it's very foreign and it sounds very different than the music that we're used to, and it can be rather distracting. So I'll actually have that music blaring off of that computer, the lights off. The students will come in small groups. They'll have one light source, and they'll have a limited amount of basic medical equipment. Basically hemorrhage control, real basic airway equipment. And I'll run them through this exercise. And of course, we have to give some boundary conditions, and we'll say the assumption is that the scene is safe and secure. You just have limited light. Even though that you'll have some sensory deprivation with the light, you'll actually be sensory overloaded with the music. And what we want to do is, obviously, we want to emphasize basic treatment modalities. Obviously these are the treatment modalities that would occur in a disaster type zone, or even in a hot zone, say in a tactical care under fire, or tactical field care situation where you're not doing advanced procedures. So I have one patient here, one patient under the table over there, a patient under here, and then actually I have a little baby hidden in there. So we'll go ahead and look at the first patient, and I'll just show you some of the real quick moulage things that I've done. So you can see here that I've taken his airway, and I've just put some gloves in there. We'll see if they pick up on that airway obstruction. Just some real basic stuff. I've taken some Curlex roller gauze, soaked it in a little bit of fake blood, diluted fake blood, so it has a real wet, moist feel to it, and it kind of has a reddish feel to it. So obviously this is simulating an evisceration. And then I just have a aluminum rod that comes out of the abdominal cavity here, abdominal/thoracic cavity here, and this will simulate a impaled object. So again, it's real quick, real easy, down and dirty moulage, but it works fairly well. And it doesn't have to be extremely realistic, because the lights will be out and all this other crazy stuff will be going on. I have a patient under the table here, and one of the boundary conditions I give is if you see these tables in the way or something on top of the patient, that means that you cannot access those parts of the patient. So basically what I have here is a gentleman that'll be having some airway issues. You can see that I have some stuff around his mouth and some stuff on the floor here, and this is nothing but cottage cheese mixed with coffee, so it kind of has a kind of disgusting vomitous type of coffee ground appearance. And basically this will be a gentleman that has an airway obstruction issue. They'll have to suction the airway, and they'll have to place a nasal airway to keep his airway open. Obviously he's kind of entrapped in here under some building debris, and there's really not a whole lot more they can do other than that. So again, it's pretty cheap. It's obviously not very sophisticated, but it's very effective when you add all this other stuff going on. Okay, so we'll move on to the next patient here. Again, he's partially trapped under a lot of debris here. This patient will be a conscious patient who's kind of moaning, and basically what I've done is I've taken a IV arm. This is actually an arm that we used to do IV training on. Put the arm here, and then I've taken an IV training hand, and then I've just taken some fake blood and mixed it again with cottage cheese to kind of make an appearance of a detached limb. I also have an IV bag full of fake blood, and I'll have an IV catheter kind of hanging out here, and it'll be put to pressure, and it'll be squirting out blood to simulate an arterial bleed. So that'll be fairly realistic, again, under the limited light circumstances. We'll move on over to the next patient. Again, this is nothing more than cottage cheese and fake blood, and of course this is a baby. He's kind of hidden away, and we'll see if they, with all the other craziness going on, we'll find this patient, and this patient of course, has an open head injury. He won't be breathing. He'll have no pulse. And basically, this, while it's very disturbing, what it is it's somewhat of a distractor to see if people will get tunnel vision and become kind of tunneled in on that patient and forget all the other stuff going on. And then, of course, the other reason I have that there is to see if people even find it, because it is sort of hidden away and it can kind of get missed in all the craziness. So anyway, guys, those hopefully you can kind of take those Moulage tips with you. You know, again, very cheap, very down and dirty, easy stuff to do. Just some fake blood and cottage cheese for the most part. So you can do this stuff on a budget. And again, I want to emphasize, I'll also emphasize in the title of this video when I post it, that these scenes can be a little graphic and disturbing. And it is certainly not my intent to make people disturbed or to intentionally make people uncomfortable, but I'd like to simulate, at least simulate some of the stress that people can face under these situations. And because these are students, I want to stimulate as much stress as possible, and not necessarily to stress them out or make them feel bad, but today the focus is going to be on communication, utilizing resources, and coordinating how you do your care. So that's really the purpose of this exercise, is not to shock people, not to make people feel bad. I'm certainly not going for that. I'm going for working on teamwork, working on communication in an environment where it is inherently difficult to communicate, because I can't simulate fire trucks and horns and hoses and smoke and all that real effectively here. But what I can do is I can turn the lights out, I can blare the music and make it really foreign sounding, and try to attempt to create some of a close approximation to some of the stress that they may experience. So anyway, that's just kind of, hopefully you guys can take those tips and hints and take them with you when you decide to do some of your own training or exercises. All right, guys, take care.